Sarah Smith.
Board President Tenorio, School Board, Student Advisor, and Superintendent Ruiz. I'm Sarah Smith. Thank you for revising regulations KEC and KEF to improve the processes for future book complaints. There are many improvements in the updated versions, including increased transparency, clear definitions for why books can and cannot be removed from schools, and the allowance for discussion and deliberation by the book review committees before the vote is cast. However, there are several areas in which I have significant concerns with the new regulations. Number one, there are no safeguards for random selection of committee members. As you recall, the need for random selection of committee members was one of the main reasons for the formal complaint we filed in January. It is good that KEC and KEF call for random selection, but there do not seem to be any safeguards built in to ensure that the pool from which these people are chosen is also random and representative of the community as a whole. How will parents potentially find out about this to be considered as part of the random selection? Ideally, all parents in the district should have the opportunity to opt in. Number two, parents are severely outnumbered on the book review committees. Parents will only be 3 out of 9 on the committees or 3 out of 11 for regulation KEC at the high school level. This is very unbalanced and is an affront to parents. Parents are at least as qualified as educators in knowing what is age appropriate for children. Parents should comprise at least half of the committees to ensure that their judgment is an important part of any book review process. The teachers on the committee are not going to be randomly selected since they will be appointed by the NEA. As it currently stands, the composition of the committees is potentially stacked against parents. This needs to be rectified in order for the policy to fulfill its purpose. Number three, regulation KEC will potentially expose minors to age-inappropriate content because it calls for 2 students to be on the book review committee at the high school level. As an example, the sexually explicit book we discussed at the last school board meeting is an adult book which is not sold for minors, yet it was found in a middle school and several high schools here. It is wrong to potentially expose underage students to age-inappropriate content as part of the book review process. And finally, in regulation KEC, there is a rush to the final decision for library book complaints. If the book review committee decides to retain the book with full access, that decision is final and cannot be appealed. At any point, if there is a decision to retain the book, that decision is final with no appeal. Yet the same is not true for complaints about curriculum resources. This is unfair and seems punitive based on the last several months of history with the prior book complaint. It also seems intended to shield the superintendent and the school board from ever having to vote on keeping a book. This is unbalanced. There should be a full appeal process for both regulations KEC and KEF in order for this process to have integrity. These are important concerns in order to ensure that the new regulations will fulfill their intent. Will you please call for the regulations to be revised to ensure that these are addressed? Most importantly, parents need to comprise at least half of the book review committees. Thank you.
Thanks. Next we